Okay, hi everyone，大家好哈。其实我们上一次讲到了关于这个游戏的这个问题啊，我们有很多的家长上次没有听到啊，我们这次又请这个我的学生来去进行一些分享，然后我们来聊一聊这个学习的问题，这个网络的这个问题。同时呢，我的这位学生呢也能够给大家一些更好的一些建议和意见，因为现在我们也在开始尝试一些这种公益的 program 来帮助一些学生更好的能够就是 control 这个时间。Okay, so meanwhile, a lot of parents they're asking me like if I need to introduce the video games to the students or to my kids, or should I just never introduce any of the technology or iPad or whatever to my kids? That gonna save the life or solve the problem. Well, and then we also have many other questions. We're gonna answer all those questions together today. Okay, all right. So let's talk let's start it. Okay, first, let me invite Alex. Hey, Alex.
Hello.
Hey, nice meeting you. Last time you didn't have chance to, you know, show your face because we were using like the WeChat, and this
Yeah.
time we go back to Zoom. Are you able to unmute yourself? I can't really.
It says you can't start I can't start my video. Yeah, I think you have to set the permission.
Okay, so let's try. Can you start it now?
Yeah, okay.
Okay, hi. Welcome back. Now everybody can see you now. Okay, cool. All right. So last time we had a great conversation, and your share and your input actually inspired a lot of parents and the students as well. And so, how's everything going since last time?
It's been going pretty well.
Okay. So yourself,
Yeah.
how's your study, school, everything goes well?
Yeah, I think it's been going pretty well.
Okay. All right. Cool. So thank you for the time and thank you for joining back. And we're gonna talk a little bit more about the video games and about what cost people addict to video games and how we're gonna help, right? Because as parents, we usually want to find out some like regulations or some sort of like therapy or like psychologist or educator, counselor, friends, um, church maybe. Okay. So we are looking for so many different ways to help and to regulate and try to control the time. But like some of the students told me they feel like if they stop playing video games they just feel like disconnected from friends, and some of them tell me that they just cannot stop, and some of them tell me they feel overstressed because of school and everything. And last time we just briefly discussed something about, why they start video games. So I know you did some research and also you talked to several students from your school. And oh, by the way, would you like to introduce yourself again? Because I think some
Yeah.
of maybe they don't know you. Yeah.
Um, my name is Alex, like you guys can see, but I go to Harker and I'm a freshman. And yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So can we start it from some of the questions that parents ask? All right.
Mhm.
So I think the first question people ask is like, all the kids, all the kids play video games, right? So these parents, they controlled pretty seriously. Like they just never get the chance for the kids to play any video games. But the kids really love to try, and they don't want to feel like out fashioned, right? They don't want the school kids to laugh at them, say like, hey, are you serious? You never play video games, but the parents is really scared if they introduce the video game to the kids and they will get addicted to for sure. And this is, I think, one of the biggest misunderstanding. So they feel like you play video game, you will addict to it for sure. How do you think about this?
I feel like games are very like susceptible to being addicted to. And I feel like it's actually kind of like a good test to like see if you can control yourself. And it's like um I guess I would say that I might be addicted to video games as well. And I feel like the process of trying to get yourself to stop is very like it's very enlightening. You learn a lot of things about yourself and you learn how you think. Like I've thought about a lot of times, um, like I always ask myself, like, why do I even play so many video games? A lot of times I'm playing just because I don't want to do other work. And I feel like it helps me understand myself better.
Okay. All right. So what do you think about this parents' concern? Like, should they introduce the game to the kids? I mean, when they introduce the game to kids, does that mean like the kids will get addicted to the games for sure?
I feel like introducing like games to kids, like you shouldn't explicitly introduce the games to them, but they're still gonna find out like one way or the another. That's like inevitable. They're still gonna one day their friends are gonna be like, hey, why don't you play some games with us? And then you're like, but I don't have games. And so maybe you get convinced to download something and then you start playing games. So I feel like if as a parent, like if you're worried about introducing games to your child, I feel like if you know that your child has started to play video games, then you just should talk to them and like have them understand that they should try to control it, or like they shouldn't get too deep into the rabbit hole, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. So there's another question actually coming from the parents like 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago. So we were discussing about what is the best way to help them to get a self control and to help them like to limit it hour. And I found like some of the students like since last conversation we had, I talked to different of my students, and I realized that some students just tell me they can play 10 minutes, they can play 20 minutes. When they need to have homework to do, they just turn off. And naturally, they just don't feel like addicted to it because they're so busy. So do you think getting students, busier and basically we just pack their schedule with everything, right? Is that a good way? I mean, you as a student, right? How you feel about that? If you're like very busy, you get a totally packed with like a lot of activities. Is there is there a good way? Is that a good way to reduce the video game hour? Is that gonna prevent you to get addicted to video games?
Um, I think that it's different for a lot of people. So it's probably going, so like for me, I guess, I feel like the more work I have, the less I want to do it. And the more I would like want to go and play video games. But I know like of other people, like I think my sister is different. If she has, the more work she has, the more she has to get it done. And so that kind of caused her like to, I guess, not play a lot of video games. And uh, I feel like it just depends on how the child or student, I guess, the personality depends on their personality.
Okay. All right. So I know your sister went to Columbia, right? Okay. So do you have any dream school?
No, I don't.
Okay. All right. So do you like video games?
Um, it's kind of like I don't know how to say, like sometimes and sometimes not, because sometimes when I play video games, I feel really guilty about myself, but other times, um, when I play and it's like actually a time for me to relax. So it just depends on the situation. Most of the time, though, it's not a really good thing.
I see. So how you balanced everything? How you balance the schoolwork and the video games? How you control?
Um, I feel like recently I started to try something different, and I feel like this is only like it only works for me. There's like you just have to find your own way. So I remember hearing from some other people that they like to make a plan, and after they make a plan, then they can follow the plan and control their video game time. Some other people, they just take away all the distractions and they're able to do that. And so they can focus on their work and then afterwards they can play games. For me, if I feel like I'm out of control, I just I just like ask myself like, am I in control of what I'm doing right now? Am I like or are the video games controlling me right now? And so if my answer to that question is the video games are controlling me, then I might not necessarily go do work, but I'll kind of break free from that and maybe like go downstairs and get something to eat or go outside and take a walk or bike ride or something.
Okay, that's really great advice. Okay, so you guys still living with parents, right? So what you parents did to make you feel like, oh, that pretty helpful.
Um, I feel like um, a lot of times when they try to do things for me, I just, for some reason, I just feel uncomfortable. I just don't like the idea of my parents like doing things for me. But one thing that my parents do very well, I think, is like listening to the things I have. Like sometimes if let's just say I played a lot of video games and I felt bad about myself, then I would go and talk to them they, and just like getting that information out and just knowing that someone else knows, it's kind of comforting feeling.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So last time we had a seminar, and actually you mentioned like you want to offer the help to a lot of students who are having the same situation because you used to play a lot of video games, right? You mentioned to me
Hmm.
before, but now you step by step and the control like better and better, and you're able to like not play if you don't want to, or if you want to play, you can still control the time.
I
Um,
guess it's still a work in progress, but yeah.
Yeah, okay. But I see a lot of progress. So that's why I really want you to, share a lot of like, successful experience with all the parents and, students. So if you would like to give some suggestion to parents, maybe they still struggle right now with their kids, maybe the relationship get even worse because of that. What is how do you think they should start it? What is your suggestion?
I feel like at the very beginning, it's just listening to what they have to say and just listening. It's not like, oh, you don't have to solve their problem for them. Most of the time, if I as a student, if I'm complaining about something, I don't expect the problem to be solved. I just want to complain. I want somebody to understand my frustration, or I want someone to understand how I feel. And just being understood, it I feel like it builds a really strong like bond and trust relationship.
Okay, so the first important thing is we need to be patient. We cannot just
Yeah.
we cannot label the kids, right? We cannot say
Yeah.
like,
It's
hey,
like,
we
yeah.
cannot be.
Yeah. Just try to understand what they're feeling. If they're frustrated, then if they think like, um, maybe they don't like a teacher or something, then you might, even if you think that, you might want to say, oh, teachers are doing a hard job. They're trying to do their best. But in the moment, as like someone who's frustrated, if someone says something that's like contradicting what you feel, then it just doesn't feel very good. It just kind of like it hits you in your gut and yeah, it kind of hurts.
I see. Do you consider yourself to be a sensitive person, like emotionally?
um I haven't actually really thought about that. I think um sensitive in the way that like some small things can like kind of like hurt a little bit, but not in the way that's like I guess I'll get angry very easily. I don't think I'm kind of that kind of person.
I see. Because one thing that impressed me a lot is like you told me you start feeling like not very well and you start feeling guilty when you played video games, and then you start questioning yourself, question what you want to do, right? So but I don't know if all the students can have this kind of like awareness. So it's like you had this kind of like awareness at the beginning, or like what kind of situation or reason made you feel like that way? Because most of the students, I don't think they have the awareness. That's the cause the reason. For example, I talked to one of the students. I say, hey, let's talk about the video games. I think you spend too much time. And then he just started telling me like, playing video game is not my problem, but thinking play video game is a problem is a problem. So we had a long debate. Yeah. So eventually I feel like there's no win no lose, but I just really believe like some of the students, they have a strong like a belief. They feel like this is something very necessary. It's like you're driving a car, and when you start driving car, everybody drive a car, and nobody gonna complain like or saying like, hey, you drive too much car. Why don't you just walk or run, right? Because that's the different era of different situation. What do you think about this? Yeah.
So if they like don't believe that playing video games is wrong at all. I feel like just going like asking them kind of a question that goes a little deeper, like maybe what value they're getting out of playing so many video games. For me, my answer to that question is that I don't get a lot of value. Maybe the times when I'm playing with my friends, then maybe I get to socialize with them, but I'm not always playing with my friends. And so the times that I'm playing like by myself, I feel like it's just I feel like I don't want to do my work and I just play some video games. So the kind of guilt comes from the fact that I still have work to do and I'm playing because I don't want to do my work.
I see. I see. So in that situation, can I understand like, oh, introduce the students in the right friend group may help them to, stay kind of like a limit the time or stay away from people who are addicted to it or who think addict to video games or compete how many hours you play. That kind of like a toxic environment is better. Do you think choosing a friend can be a good way?
Yeah, I feel like um, just kind of being aware of how your friends are affecting your life is also important.
I see. Okay. How you guys choose friends? It's a little bit like not related, but I'm curious.
I don't know. It's just like you kind of meet a group of people and when you talk to them a little bit, like the conversation is kind of natural. It doesn't seem very forced. And so after that happens, then you kind of talk to them more and more because it's just comfortable talking to them. So I guess that's how you establish a friendship.
Will you guys consider, for example, one person in your group circle or several of them, they like play a lot of video games and they just kind of like proud of that. They don't think about a study. Well, you gonna consider this gonna be like toxic for you, and then you're gonna stay away from them, or you feel like it doesn't matter?
Um, Personally, I feel like it doesn't matter that much. Um, I feel like my current group of friends, they are like they're pretty responsible. They get all of their work done, even though they might procrastinate a little bit. But I think in general, it's like pretty like steady, I guess.
I see. Okay. So let me make a little bit of the summary. So first, we don't want to have this misunderstanding. Playing video games doesn't mean they will addict to it, right? So this
Yeah.
is not equal like a play video game will addict for sure. Because I have many students who play video games, but who don't really feel like addict to it, and then they feel like playing tennis or sports, or I know you play soccer as well, right? They feel like that kind of activity is more interesting, attractive. Second, playing video game is kind of like a social way for a lot of students, like young kids, right? If you don't really play any, right, it's a little bit not cool, right? So from the friends side. Okay. And number three, like, introduce some of the friends like Alex, right? So maybe later you can introduce like how you want to offer some help, right? To give them some like concept or increase awareness, like, hey, you guys the same like age, right? Same situation, playing video games, um, having the school life, and but some of them they have the awareness thinking about playing video games cannot bring real value to their life, and then they start questioning life thinking about what can bring the real value to their life, right? So that is something that we want to share with the parents. Maybe the parents can start to have the conversation with the kids. All right, so if the parents, let's say today they are going to have the conversation with their kids, what do you think the conversation should start from? How it should sounds like?
Um,
Let's say you are the parents now. I'm the kids who are addicted to video games. Oh yeah.
uh,
You
I
are the
feel
dad.
like just I would say something like um uh I don't know, like how do you feel, I guess, right now? Do you feel like you're very stressed or like I would just try to understand like how they're feeling right now. If they're like totally okay with how their life is going, then I feel like if they're like totally okay with how it's going and they understand what they're doing like and how it might affect their future and they're still okay with it, then to be honest, I would just let them. I would let them like continue on with it. But I think
Okay,
like
hold
very,
on.
very often, like they're not okay with it. Like,
Okay, hold on a little
yeah.
bit. You say if
Mhm.
they're okay and you're gonna let it go. So you think like this right now, but maybe I will ask the same question like 20 years later when you become a real dad. But let's just do a role play right now, okay, for fun. So you're the
Okay.
dad and I'm the
Uh-huh.
kid and I
Okay.
take video games. So you're gonna start a conversation with me. Here we go.
How do you feel right now?
You're fantastic. I'm playing video games. Don't talk to me. I'm playing video games. I'm busy.
But then I would wait till they're not playing video games to talk to them.
Good, good, good. Tip number one, do not talk to them when they play video games, okay? All right, so now I'm finished. I'm done with my video games.
Uh, I don't know. Do you still have homework that you have to do?
I know, I know. I will do it. I'll do it later.
Uh, do you feel like you're pushing it back a lot? Do you feel like, or do you think that it's like totally fine about what you're doing right now?
What do you mean? What do you want to say?
Like, do you feel like stressed because your homework isn't finished right now?
A little bit, a little bit. But I feel
Uh,
more stressful if you don't let me play video games. I would feel like more stressed out. Yeah. So I feel stressful, but if when I play video games, I feel better.
well, how do you feel like after you play the video games? Do you regret playing the video games, or do you like you feel like you have a lot more energy after you play the video games?
Depends on how many hours. After like 3 or 5 hours, I may feel like tired. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Um, it's like it's not part of the role play, it's just like my thinking process, I guess. It's like um the thing is, as a parent, like I don't know, it's just for me. I don't know if it's for everybody, but I'm pretty sure it happens quite often, is when a parent recommends something to the child and they just don't want to do it. They just know like the smallest things, they just want to not listen to their parents. So so in that case, I would probably encourage you to like, I would ask you then like, is there anything that you enjoy doing that's not playing video games, like a sport or like an instrument or something?
Okay. All right.
And
So you did a fantastic job. You know, I'm not I'm very good at playing a very stubborn rebel kids. I have been dealing with all of them, okay? I can put all of them together, you know. But I don't want to give them a hard time. But you did a fantastic job. So this is something I really suggest that parents can do with their kids, you know. So you want to do a role play to use their tone, to use the way they had a conversation with you, and to use their position to try to change, you know, exchange position to let them to see what they look like or who they are. So
yeah,
here's one of the like a story I want to share. One of the mom actually put the camera at home to record the kids play video games, you know, and after they put all the recordings together, he made a video as like a gift, as a birthday gift to the kids, you know. So the kids just, you know, didn't show anything, but like weeks later, the kids start to talk to the parents about, you know, I need help because I just look at the camera, look at the video, like the whole entire thing. I feel like I'm just kind of like a worm staying there doing nothing. It's kind of like make him can't recognize who he is. So this is one of the story I feel like is pretty successful. So maybe we can learn from how, you know, considerate their parents is. The most important thing, we don't want any conflict or have any angry conversation because that can't help. That can only make the things worse.
yeah. So
Your parents be mad with you?
uh like
Like
sometimes, I mean,
sometimes.
they don't really get mad with me anymore. I feel like if they're kind of worried or anything, they will like ask me. They'll try to understand um like the situation better, because some of the times when they're worried, it's just because of a misunderstanding. And then other times, if they're worried, then maybe like I didn't realize that that might have been a problem. And so I kind of start to think about it a little bit. also like putting the cameras in the room. I feel like um, that was actually like I would say that that was a pretty lucky story, because if my parents put a camera in the room, that would basically break all the trust that I have with them. Like I wouldn't trust them with anything.
Yes, I think so. That's a good story. That's a successful story they share. I also hear like the story that the parents share with me that the kids will just lock themselves in the room, so they couldn't get into the room. So they lock themselves in the room for like 1 day, 2 days. So eventually the family made a decision. They just remove all the doors from all the rooms. There's no doors, not even bathroom. It's a very sad story, but eventually it works. Yeah, so I just feel like every family and every kid's the personality is so different. All right, so let's talk about what do you want to do. So how you started, how you want to start it, like, oh, you want to offer help to the kids who are addicted to video games.
I feel like um, the main help that I want to offer is probably just to help the child and or like the student and the parent build a better relationship, because only after they have a good relationship are they going to be willing to communicate and help solve the problem together, because there's like almost an infinite number of scenarios that a child could be addicted to video games. It's not just the addiction, there's also like the child's personality, what they think is okay or not. And kind of just being able to freely talk with the parent as a student is like that can actually just solve a lot of problems. And if the student is willing to express their feelings and the parent is willing to express their feelings, then it's a higher level of understanding that can solve a lot of problems.
That's great. So it's like you talk to the students as the peer and find out what's the real reason behind the addiction, right? So maybe
Yeah.
because they have stress, they want to run away. Maybe because they really enjoy it. Maybe potentially they can be a game designer, or maybe because the relationship between the parents and the kids are not really open and transparent. That's also part of the reason. So find out the reason, right? Okay, so you might also gonna have like a lot of struggle from like different parents, because I do think playing video games or playing too much video games is kind of like a failure for the relationship, because they prefer to stay alone, play video game instead of talking to parents, right? So we really want the parents to give more unconditional understanding and to try to wait a little bit, because what I usually went through the situation is like parents would like to have several conversation, and then they want to see improvement immediately, but they don't see immediately, and then they start lost patience, and then they start to be mad, and then they have like very swear words, angry conversation, and everybody throw like attitude. There's no fast talking, end up like being worse. It just I, as a parent, I have to say being a parent is really really tough. We have to raise you guys up, we have to feed you guys, we have to take care of you guys, we have to love you guys, plus we have to be patient with you guys when you guys making mistakes. And what about increase a little bit understanding from the students perspective about their parents? Do you
Yeah,
have a
I think that's also very important. Like, um, I was actually talking with my dad last night, and we were kind of talking. I was like, actually, yesterday was a kind of bad day for me. I played a lot of video games and I felt bad about it. And so I talked with my dad, and I was kind of like questioning, like, what is the motivation? Like, what keeps me going back to playing video games? And so my dad, he just like truthfully said, like, I don't know. And I actually like appreciate that. Oh, my dog is angry. But
the dog doesn't like you.
uh-oh.
Does not like you play video games.
Yeah, but he was basically, let me see if I can try to do something.
It's okay. Yeah, it's just we enjoy
Okay,
it.
okay. So my dad, like, the fact that he was willing to admit that he didn't know how to fix it it just kind of like gives me the feeling that we're working together to try to solve the problem.
Okay. All right. So, yeah. So, can you introduce a little bit more about the program you're going to do, and like generally, what is the steps that you want people to enroll the program? Because I know you can't really help many, and appreciate like you want to spend your spare time to help them and to do the documentary program together with them, right? So it's kind of like curious, like if you stop like 1 day or 2 day, so how you guys feel, physically, mentally, spiritually, you know?
So I feel like the program is going to be something that's uh, more of just like where there's someone to talk to. So like um, I don't have all of the solutions. I don't think I'm able to fix like a problem immediately. All I just want to do is just try to, I guess, make the student feel a little better or just change their way of thinking. So what's gonna happen is kind of like, um, so there's like a form where you can sign up. I can send it in the chat right now. I can go get that. And
Okay.
so, um, wait, yeah, and basically, uh, after the sign up, I will like send out kind of a booking kind of thing where like I'll put in the slots where I'm available and you can just sign up for the slots. And
Yeah.
the session will kind of just be uh, like I'll try to like understand the situation a little bit more and I might give some like recommendations or just it can also just be a place where you can express your thoughts as a student or a parent.
Okay. Yeah, I can add on a little bit based on the conversation you had with me. So Alex is going to have a short meeting with every student who registered for his program. So during the meeting, Alex is trying to find out the real motivation for the kids to play video games. You know, why they're so addicted to video games. So in order to build up the like the communication between the parents and the kids. I think most of parents they know the facts like they play video games, but they don't know the motivation behind them. Maybe they didn't tell, maybe they told you, and we want to find out the reason, the core reason, and then we try to offer help and to help them. So for my situation, I want to share a little bit more. I used to work with many students who have different kind of like addiction, I would say. Some addicted to video game, but many of them, believe it or not, they addict to chatting, chatting on Snapchat, chatting on Facebook, chatting on like through text messages. They call this social like demand, you know. But they spend a lot of time. For example, at night they probably can chat until like 2 a.m. and then affect them sleep, you know, from any other kind of like normal activities. And when I talk to them, they say like, oh, you know, my parents, my mom watching the Korean drama all the time. Why I cannot just talk to my friends because we have, you know, thought to exchange. So this is one of the situation that make me thought a lot. Since that day, I removed my TV from my room, you know. So this is something scared me before. Like this is 3 years ago. All right. So the other thing I realized that, you know, so when we try to, you know, walk with the kids through their teenager period, it's quite different from when they were young. So when they were young, you can sleep them with your phone in your hand, saying like, "Hey, I'm here. I'm just, you know, being with you. And just like check some news or I'm working," and you sleep. But when they start to get their own standard, or when they have their own perspective and value, they start to question you and they start to ask you to do exactly the thing that you ask them to do. This is something I realized, and from the students, like the feedback. So maybe the parents can also think about and have a conversation with them. Sometimes maybe the parents try to hold back a little bit, can help to build up the conversation, right? For example, you can say like, I'm sorry. It's my fault I didn't give you enough support. And I would like to, you know, give you support or help if you would like to, if you need. Could you please let me know what I can help? So I think this kind of conversation can also help to, you know, improve the situation, right? It really depends on the situation and how severe the addiction is, or maybe they are just not addicted to video game. They just really have some big problem they want to solve, but they can't really solve it, and then they just need to find an exit to release their stress, right? Maybe in that situation, we need to find a different way to reduce the stress. For example, one of my students told me like she feel pretty stressed out because her best friend always get a higher score, always, I mean, better overall anywhere, than her. And they're best friends, but she just doesn't feel like confident. She just doesn't feel like okay. She feel like stressed out. And she just couldn't handle, why she feel like she works so hard, she studies so hard, and still cannot compete, with the best friend. Those kind of feeling like torture her a lot. So I told her, I say, life is not about competing with any others, so the only thing you need to compete is yourself. You just need to be better than the yesterday. That's it. So after she changed the mindset, I feel like she feels better. And the way she chatting, because before she told me, oh, this is very interesting, very cute and um, like silly moment. She said she kept chatting with her friends because she doesn't want her to keep study, so she can distract her. At the same time, she can just catch up. And I was like, where this come from? I sometimes I feel like you guys have like more complicated like thinking process that we as an adult we never expect, right? Okay, so yeah, you sign up the link. Okay, great. So if you sign up the link and you can just register and you can book the time with Alex, and Alex can spend time with the kids together and find out the real reason and tell the parents and try to build up the transparent conversation. Okay, so if you have any question, you can start to text in the box or raise your hand to join our conversation. Yeah, I really appreciate Alex. Would like to share your experience again, and I'm so appreciate like you're so transparent with us, and you just said you went back to play a little bit more yesterday, and I believe you can do way better, maybe tomorrow or next week. Yeah. Okay, any question? Yeah, actually we had one question right here. Okay, so when to let the kids have phone, how to control it? You started, Alex.
Um, I feel like when I first got my phone, at least, um, I didn't use it for anything except for video games. For me, I guess I didn't have any like social media. I didn't really get into like Instagram or Snapchat or whatever, just simply because my friend group wasn't really into that. But I feel like control of the phone, um, this is like also just for me. I really don't have enough experience with like a lot of other different personalities. So for me personally, um, when I when something is like when or if my parents want to control something, then or like I want to control something, it's usually like I want it to come from myself. For some reason, if it's my parents who are like forcing me to do something, I just feel like it's not genuine. Or even if it's simply just like maybe my dad is like sitting behind me when I'm doing my homework so I don't go to like play video games or something. Like for me, that just feels very forced and it feels I just want it to be my own thing. I always want everything to be my own thing, I guess. And so um, I guess when a student gets their phone, um, you should make sure that they know that it's like they still have to be responsible for the things they already are responsible for. So like um, as a student, you have to uh, get your homework done, study for tests, and basically just do everything that a student has to do. So make sure that they don't just like neglect those responsibilities because they have a phone.
Yeah, and I agree with you. And I also think giving phone is not the issue, and to teach them
Yeah.
how to use it, that's the most important thing, and also very challenging. And I would say do not try to control the kids. The more you want to control, the later they're gonna try to get out of control. Stronger, yeah. So I would say just try to teach them what is the self-control. Yeah, give the concept about self-control and try to practice with like small things, little things, and try to make them in charge of maybe 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and try to see like how they how they behave and how they do with the little thing. I feel like that's more important because when they're young, you try to control and it's easy to control. But when they start to grow bigger, it's hard to control. When they start to control, you get out of control. That's the situation we face every single day. We see the teenagers. Some of the boys, I think, the girls, maybe they start like earlier. Some of them start pretty late. 5 years ago, I had a student, very, very good boy, good student, went to college, good college. And right he got into the college, start playing video games. So drop off, so have to have a gap year because he couldn't survive the finals, missed all the test day, like dropped from the class. So he has to stay at home for 1 year, and at that time they take like therapists. They think they have some like mental issue. But that's something I heard before, like 5 years ago. So we really want them to understand how to control their own life before they're ready to get into the society, right? Because that's something. I mean, eventually we can't control as a parent. Yeah.
I also saw
Okay. Let me see if
someone said in the chat that they sent the form already before. That's just because I haven't set up a lot of the things yet the first time. It was just an idea. I hadn't actually started working on it yet. So um, yeah, there's still a lot of small things. I'm sorry for like not getting back to you again. But yeah, I
so.
think,
Maybe you can create a deadline right now. Just
yeah,
promise to Lily when you're gonna get back to her.
I'll probably start setting up meeting times like in like a week.
Okay. So Alex will get back to you within this week. Okay.
Okay, yeah.
Okay. Thank you for understanding. Yeah, because Alex right now is study as a full-time student in Hacker as well. Hacker is it's also very intense, right? So and yeah, so let's support him and yeah, Alex, move forward with everybody. Okay. All right. So is there any question that you would like to talk about it besides that? If not, I actually want to have some small discussion with you regarding these days, a lot of news talking about the anti-Asian stuff, the Stop Hate movement. Have you heard about that?
Yeah, I've heard about it.
Okay.
I've
And what
seen on the news. It's just um
I would
to
like
be
to know,
co-
yeah, as a second generation.
um to be honest, I feel like there's just a lot of stupid people in the world. So, like I've seen on the internet, it's not just like um being like anti-Asian. There's also like anti-black people. There's also just people who are just really dumb in general. Like I don't know if the parents would know this, but I think a lot of like kids, students that are like my generation, they know about the people called Karens. And so those people like um I feel like we cannot avoid having those types of people in our society. And so we just have to do the best to, I guess, protect ourselves and make sure that we live the best life we can.
I see. And how do you think about, what we should do with this kind of situation?
Um, I feel like with this kind of situation, it's just um, with all of like the stuff going on, like if you don't feel safe being outside, then you don't have to go outside. You can always like order groceries to your front door or something. And so um, also like just kind of be aware of like your surroundings if you're outside so you don't get like attacked or like yeah.
Okay. All right. So do you guys usually in the school discuss the like things like this or no? Like different news?
There's not really a lot of discussion about that at school.
I see. Okay.
I feel like it's
Uh,
kind of like a controversial topic and the schools don't want to really get into that. So
yeah, I didn't understand. Yeah, I got what you mean. Okay, cool. That's a good point. Yeah. All right. So besides that, I know like there's some like a good movies to talk about, like video games, the society, social emotion. There's one of them I think I recommended before. It's called A Social Dilemma. It's on a Netflix, so you guys can just go watch it. I think that's a great movie for a little bit younger kids to understand how, the internet, like the Facebook and everything can control and how the system can be designed. I mean, the indulgence system actually was designed to get people that mean to be addicted to it, right? Okay. All right. So that's pretty much all the sharings. And if you would like to have any question, you can ask right now. Okay, I got a one here from the WeChat. Okay, so what if I already messed up with my kids? Like we had a very bad relationship. We cannot even talk about it. Should I give up or should I still give a try? That's a
Definitely,
challenge for you actually.
definitely do not give up, because your child is someone who's always going to be there in your life. For the rest of your life, you have to gonna like talk with your child at least a little bit. So having a good relationship with them is definitely going to help you a lot in the future. And so like it's never too late to like talk with your child. I feel like a lot of the times it's just because maybe the child doesn't understand what you feel, what you're feeling, or you don't understand what your child is feeling. And I feel like you have to have a mutual understanding. You and your child should both understand that what each of you are feeling is just, it's a feeling, and you can't really change that really quickly. You can't just immediately be like, oh, I don't want to feel like this anymore. Like that's not how that works. So if you are frustrated or if your child is frustrated, just understand that, try to like understand maybe why your child is frustrated, and just, even if you don't agree with it, just try to get along with them. um, Even if they say something that you like totally don't agree with, maybe for the time being just agree with them, or like you don't necessarily have to say I totally agree with you. You can just be like, yeah, I kind of understand, or just try to see where they're coming from with it. And so just the more understanding there is, I feel like the better relationship there will be.
Okay, cool. All right, so last, I want you to actually share a little bit what your parents have said to you, make you stay with it like forever, kind of
Make
like
me, sorry, what?
make you feel like it stay with you forever, stick with you forever.
um There's this one time my mom, I was sitting at the dinner table. It was another day where I didn't feel good about myself. It's kind of a recurring theme, I guess. But um, she was telling me like, um, a lot of times, as a student, or like my mom has said this before, a lot of times, like if you have some sort of problem or if you have something, a lot of times it's just your brain telling you that it's your brain that's dragging you down. It's your brain that's telling you that you can't do something. And so um, I don't, the story that she told me was how when she used to be a nurse, she was a night shift, and she was like very stressed because she had to sleep during the daytime and go to work at night. And um, a lot of times, like when my sister was like very little, she would sleep with my sister. And so when my sister woke up in the middle of like, not in the middle of the night, like no, my sister woke my mother up. She would always get like really frustrated because she would think, oh, I didn't get enough sleep, I'm not gonna have a good day at work tomorrow. And she would always, before work, she said she would say, she would always be feeling like, oh, I really don't want to go to work, and work is so much, like it's so tiring, whatever. And then she said one day she realized that it's not so bad getting 3 hours of sleep. It's just going to be one day, and going to work is, it's still work. Like no matter what, I'm still going to have to do the things I do. So if I do them and I think about like how it's not so bad, then like it's just it made her feel a lot better about the situation. So a lot of times, like I've actually like tried this method where I just tell myself it's not so bad. Sometimes when I don't get a lot of sleep, I always feel kind of angry because like, oh, I don't feel don't feel really awake. I feel bad. But a lot of times small things that you can just let go, like just a little less sleep, you can just be like, it's okay. Just try to convince yourself. It's definitely not easy. A lot of times I still can't do it, but maybe on the smallest things, like maybe you're driving or maybe you're doing something. Like I guess the driving would be a good example, and somebody I know cuts in front of you and you get angry. But you can a lot of times, like I would tell my parents if they're driving, just it's okay. It's just one time. They might have hit you, almost hit you, but it's over. It's over. There's nothing you can do about that anymore. So yeah.
I really like your personality. Yeah, so you are very mature. That's amazing share. Thank you so much. And if you can, okay, would you like to totally quit video games or what is your goal?
Um, my goal is to um, be motivated to do everything that I do. That's my end goal. It's not to play zero video games. It's not to like pursue a video game career or something. It's just whenever I'm doing something, I want to genuinely want to do it. Like something like homework, I always feel like, man, oh, homework's so much work. I don't want to do it. But I hope that someday I can be like, yeah, homework's not so bad. I get to learn stuff. It's fun. And I want to go do my homework. And I feel like if that happens, then I basically, no matter what I do, I'm not going to think of it as a burden. And so my life will be like, it'll feel a lot less stressful, I feel.
Oh my God, you gave me a great inspiration. Yeah. So I want to share a little bit more because I start my 100-day challenge with my students because my student challenged me because I challenge him, say, if you can read books, and he challenged me back, say, if you can run, and I said I couldn't, and then we had a 100-day challenge. So he's reading like 100 page, and I'm writing like 3K, 5K. Eventually, he challenged me about 10K. So every day when I exercise, I feel like I need to finish. This is my task. I can't lose my face because I can't lose with my students because the competition, right?
Mm.
So I finished the 100-day, and of course, and he finished several books, and eventually we all get a better, healthy lifestyle. He read more. I exercise more. I lost 35 pounds during the 100-day challenge. However, I realized something because if you make something to be something you have to do, you lost the like you lost the most fun part. You can't really enjoy it, you know. So I can be very proud of saying like, hey, I have a very strong will and I can really control myself very well and I can push myself to do whatever the things, but I couldn't enjoy it. So I started to share with him about how you feel about reading now. Do you really force yourself to read every day? And he started telling me like, oh, I enjoy more. I like more, but what you just said give me such good inspiration because I think I should enjoy the everyday. Whenever I'm gonna hate staying in bed in the morning, I start to enjoy about going outside to run. Maybe that's the moment I'm gonna start to having like even tougher, or better healthy life. You know what I say? All right.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing. You gave me my motivation today. Thank you so much, Alex.
Okay. Thank you for like having me here and just, I guess, having this conversation.
All right. Okay. So I'm gonna talk to you soon. Okay.
Yep.
All right. Thank you guys. And
Okay. Thank
yeah,
you
if you
everyone
like
for
to
coming
have,
too.
yeah, if you have like meeting with Alex, just book it. I hear someone calling me. All right. Talk to you soon.
Okay.
Okay.
Also, if you already signed up on the first one, um, it would be very like helpful if you could sign in. Sorry, like sign up for the second form so we can just have everyone on one form. It'll be very helpful. Okay.
Okay. All right. That's all for today. Thank you, Alex. Thank you for your time. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. And see you next time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye bye.